Trey was talking about Purdue, and he was talking about how he kind of committed himself to holding himself accountable. What have you noticed out of Malik so far this offseason? I also think maybe he was a little bit underappreciated by some of the other Big Ten observers, like the Big Ten team and all of that.
Well, I mean, I don't think you can look at it in that light. What he has done, he's physically put himself in a better position to play at a high level. I thought he made a hell of a jump from his freshman year to last year. I mean, that was a nice jump. You think about, he didn't play a whole lot of minutes because he couldn't stay out of foul trouble. Then he learned how to stay out of foul trouble and stay on the floor, and his numbers grew, and we benefited from it. But now, physically, he has really committed the workout, his eating habits, all of it. His body's changed, and he's playing. Well, his summer play was pretty good. He's playing pretty good basketball for us now. Just hope it's a nice carryover into when it really starts.
Trey was talking about Kanan. Miles and Trey were both talking about Kanan and his just dynamic ability to score. What kind of impact do you think that part of this game is going to have for you guys this year?
Well, again, we have a number of guys now that can score the basketball. It's just doing it the right way and making sure you don't run off and leave your teammates. I mean, it's still a team game. But Kanan has come in and shown that he can defend on the ball and he can score a little bit for us. So that's a bonus, I think. Miles has shown that, we know what Trey is capable of doing. We just got to get him back healthy and 100% playing. But I mean, I like the pieces that we have. And everybody's working to try to do the right thing. So, I mean, that's kind of nice to see.
What has allowed Miles to just like very early on kind of put a stamp on the leadership piece of that position in particular, the ability to communicate with teammates, to lead teammates, even for a guy that obviously is relatively new to your locker room?
Well, again, that was something when we were recruiting him that I talked to him about. I mean, we got to have leadership. That position requires leadership. You got to demand respect from your players, and then the players got to respect what you do on the floor. And Miles has been a nice addition because he's a game changer, with his ability to push the ball up and down the floor and make shots. Again, I got to get him where he doesn't run off and leave everybody behind. He still has other guys on the floor around him that he's got to try to make better as well.
I think he said that the two of you bonded over your love of the Cowboys at breakfast at Uptown Cafe.
Yeah, I mean, our Cowboys are struggling a little bit right now, but he's a big Cowboy guy too, and we're kind of hiding a little bit, trying to get our team back on track.
Miles has talked about how he thinks it's important to be an extension of you on the floor. Have you had those kind of special conversations with him as what you want in terms of game plan, just how to execute his point guard?
Well, this summer I kind of, in summer play, I just kind of watched and tried to let these guys bond and get to know one another. They did a lot of things off the court, and then I just watched him play. And yeah, you do have to, point guards do have to be an extension of the head coach. I go back to my NBA. Fino was a good extension. When I recruited Fino, I knew what I was getting, man. But he had to learn and grow as a freshman. Because again, make no mistake about it, the college game is different than AAU and high school basketball. So yes, he's got to be an extension. I've had some pretty good point guards that I've had the opportunity to coach at the high level. Jason Kidd probably being, Chris Paul sitting at the top in that regard. They have to be an extension of the coach.
There was a lot of talk from the players recently about how much bonding there's been off the floor. Do you think that's unique to this year's team more so than recent years?
Yes, it is unique. Because I think when you add, the first year I think we added 4 or 5 players. The year after that was about 4 or 5. And then last year we added, I think, 7. players, and now this year 7. So I think it goes a long way when you're talking about getting together. I mean, they've done so much, from picnics to bowl and fish, and you name it, they've done it. And, you know, I've tried to stay out of the way to let them kind of be themselves. And I think it's been great so far.
I want to say that Trey mentioned that when you all were kind of this spring in that process of trying to make a list of adding guys within the portal, that he had a list of guys, that you guys had a list of guys, and it was kind of like a streamlined talk. Why was having, you know, that player input important for you?
It's important. It's like my NBA days. You know, if I made moves around Carmelo Anthony, which I made that last year, that we were really good and won the division, I made 8 moves, personnel moves around him, Amari, and Tyson Chandler. So you have to sit them down and include them. They like to know who you're going to bring in. You know, Gallo had his list of guys, and we struck out on some of his guys, but the one guy he did have on the list was Goody, Luke. And, you know, we didn't make any moves on Luke until, you know, he decided he wanted to go in the portal. But we kind of treated, you know, the portal system when we started the journey this summer right after the season, like we do in the NBA. You know, we put a group of guys that we think can help us, and you go out and you try to recruit them. That doesn't mean you're going to get them. I mean, I struck out on a lot of guys, but some of the guys like Bryson Tucker and Malo kind of fell in our laps, and we were able to close those deals.
Were the players more involved?
Huh?
Were the players more involved, do you feel like?
Well, Trey was. You know, Trey has he gets that latitude. He's been with me from day one. Him and Anthony are the 2 last survivors based on when I came in here. They also were the 2 that didn't raise their hand when I asked who was going to stay on board. But now they're still with me, so that's a nice thing to have.
What do you remember Trey saying about Luke Goody?
About the portal?
About Luke Goody, what do you remember Trey saying?
Oh, well, he's played against him. He's competed against him at Illinois. I mean, the kid could shoot the ball. And he's been everything we thought he was, you know, coming over. So it's nice, a nice addition to our ball club.
Not just in terms of on-the-court stuff, but in terms of seeing that he's already played for years across.
Well, again, the guys, you know, Brad did a hell of a job with him in Illinois. They won there. I think he won a Big Ten title under Brad. So, you know, he brings leadership experience, which we need, like Miles and Kanan and Bryson and Gabe, Jakai. These guys are all young players. So you're going to need leadership at the top to direct traffic, to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Coached at the NBA level for a while. Is there any player you've coached or even just seen that Miles kind of reminds you of?
Well, I got a little Iverson overtone. You know, I coached Allen in Philly, and there's a little Iverson overtone in terms of how he plays a little bit. You know, Allen was, I think, pound for pound, Allen Iverson was the best little scorer that's ever played in the NBA, I think.
You've talked about wanting to play fast this season, and it starts in the backcourt. How important is it to you to have that depth in the backcourt?
It's very important. I mean, you know, we've been trying to get there. I mean, I thought I had it when I had Jalen and X, and I can't think of who the other point guard we had at that time. We had a couple of them, Finney, and I think we had one more. I can't remember who that guy was. But anyway, it's, you know, when you look at college basketball, the teams are winning in the backcourt. They're winning shooting the basketball. And I think we've addressed a lot of those problems. And only time will tell once we start playing to see where we are as a ball club.
With shooting, Goody's probably one of the better shooters you've had on India, at least since Miller Kopp. Are you going to try to run similar sets with what you did with Kopp to get him over?
Yeah, but we didn't run a whole lot for Miller. Goody, we will, you know, because the makeup of our team is totally different. You know, I mean, we were Trace Jackson driven, At that particular time early on, even though we ran more pick and rolls than we did post the ball. I mean, you guys probably don't realize that, but we did. The last 3 years, we've run more pick and rolls. But you got to have shooters around pick and rolls for it to be really effective. And so we'll do combinations of sets and then we'll open the court up a little bit. That's kind of how I want to play.
How's Jakai doing with his health? You mentioned
He's doing fine. You know,
can he go every day?
no, he can't go every day. And that's because we won't allow him to go every day. You know, we basically are slow walking him back. But the days he's been out there, he's been pretty impressive. He's probably the best explosive athlete on our team in terms of playing above the rim. It's scary how good he is in that regard, but we just got to get him back fully healthy, and he's not there yet.
Mike, with the two bigs, will you be able to play that space and pace game that you ran so much of in the NBA?
Well, again, a lot of it's going to depend on if Malik can step out. You know, Malik has been playing out on the floor a lot from this summer's play up until now, and can he consistently make some threes for us? You know, if he takes 2 or 3, can he just at least make 1? You know, that's because we got enough. We're shooting a number of threes now as I speak. You guys are probably happy about that, but you still got to make them. But you know, it will allow us. You know, he can still play in the hole some when we take ball out and play some 5, and then we can really go small with Mac and Goody playing together, because they would say they're our 2 best shooters right now in terms of shooting. But Gabe has been shooting it well, and Miles and Kaden has been scoring the ball well. So I mean, I think we'll have enough scoring. My concern still is on the defensive end, because I just know that's where you win at a high level.
It's never really been, since you've been here, the balanced schedule that you would have been used to as a player in the Big Ten, but obviously it's about as unbalanced as it's ever been in terms of how often you play teams and who plays who, when. How do you navigate a conference where you do see so few opponents twice, and there's more travel considerations, and you know, just things are so kind of different team to team?
It's like the NBA, man. The quicker you can get your team. I remember back in the early days when I played, you know, we used to go west and play 6 teams. And you would struggle probably those first 2 or 3 games because you weren't acclimated to making that long travel. I think as quickly as we can get guys adjusted when we go back west, because they're going to have the same problems coming east. You know, the quicker you can get your team to adjust on those long travels, the better you're going to be as a basketball team. And, you know, the 18 teams is what it is now. I mean, shit, it was 10 teams when I played. Hey, man, you got to come and play, you know, because every team is well coached and the talent level is off the charts, man, across the board. So, you know, we just can't take no nights off. It's kind of how I look at it.
Trey said that Bryson Tucker's maturity, like as a freshman, has really stood out to him. Would you agree with that, or are there some ways you've seen that on or off?
Totally agree. You know, he's kind of reminds me of Fino a little bit, you know, in terms of it's just his demeanor. And, you know, I think a lot of that is because he didn't play AAU ball. Daddy kept him, Mama kept him away from it. And he just basically trained the old-fashioned way. And, you know, it's been a nice carryover for him. Now, does he have a lot of things to learn? They all do. But, boy, he's shown in an early stage right now that he belongs.
Do you think guys like him and a few others maybe make some like lineup flexibility more than you've had in the past?
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of flexibility. My problem now is who's going to play. You know, we got enough talent, you know, and it's going to be based on what you do. You know, you got to come in, when you get put in the game, you got to play. You know, you got to produce.
How much of that lineup construction in the early season is based on practice or those exhibition games?
No, it's going to be, it's practicing. We're trying different combinations. You know, we'll have a couple of tune-up games with Marion and Tennessee, which I think the Tennessee game will be a test for us because Barnes is a hell of a coach, man. He's always put out good teams, and they'll probably be ranked this year too as well. So, he's kind of looking forward to it as well as I am, just to kind of see where our teams are.
The small ball lineup you mentioned at media day is something a lot of fans are anticipating. Have you kind of figured out kind of the tools in terms of who's going to be at the 5 or who's going to be
Not
point
yet.
guards on the
We're still tinkering with that. So I have no idea at this point. And a lot of it depends on who's in foul trouble. You got to look at that as well. So.
Like you mentioned, you got so many new guys in important spots. How do you make it all work together? It's a big mystery now.
Yeah, you got to keep working, practicing, watching film, It all goes hand in hand, man. It's not easy. I mean, I did it in Atlanta and I did it in New York, and the best players will rise to the top, man, and force you to play them. And unfortunately, I can't play everybody, so got to keep competing to see who's going to play.
What do players do to impress you the most to make it to where it's like, gosh, I got him playing, he's doing A, B, and C well?
Well, I mean, again, you just play defense, rebound the ball, be unselfish offensively, help somebody else to get better offensively. I mean, there's a lot of things that determines that. And practices they've been very, very competitive, man. Very competitive.
What are your thoughts right now on how much you think Paulo and Renew will be on the court at the same time?
Don't know. Only time will tell.
Paulo's not a guy that's played more than 25 minutes a game.
And that's plenty. He doesn't have to play 30 minutes, not on this team. So, I mean, the fact that he's only played about 25 minutes, hey, we might keep him at that number. You know what I mean? I don't think Ballo's ever complained about one thing since he's been with us. He just wants to win.
Miles and Cannon have both talked about their ability to defend the ball 94 feet. Have you considered allowing them to kind of get that full court man pressure throughout the entirety of a game?
That's what we do as a team. I mean, when you lose Xavier, who was great at that, Gabe became pretty good at it. Now you got Gabe, Cannon, and Miles that can press up along with Bryson that can allow you, and Gallo that can allow you to move up the floor and do some things differently defensively.
When you have the roster turnover you did last year and this year, is there more uncertainty kind of in that first month for you kind of going into the season?
Say that again?
When you had the roster turnover you've had the last 2 seasons, in November, is there more uncertainty than you would like just about how the final product will kind of look?
Well, the good thing is, you got some pieces back that you're familiar with. I don't know, uncertainty is my thing is I just think that we got to come out blazing. We got to come out playing at a high level. And there's no reason why we shouldn't. That's kind of how I look at it. And, last year we won a lot of close games early against teams that, everybody thought we should have just blown them out of the gym. But we could have lost those games, and those guys, the Maliks and the Gallos and McKenzie, they found ways to win along with Ware. And I'm just hoping this year that we don't put ourselves in that position. We got to come out and play truly at a high level for 40 minutes each game and play.
What goes into playing a fast-paced game? Do you have to coach that? Is it a conditioning thing?
Yes, conditioning plays a major role, but your style got to change a little bit too. You got to be open, and I don't like turning the ball over, but you might have experienced some turnovers, so you got to give them a little leeway and not be so forceful because they turn it over because we're playing so fast. But that's the downside of playing fast, because you can also turn it over a lot.
How would you compare Paulo as a rim protector compared to Trace and Klein?
He'll block shots, but not at that level like they did. Those guys Ware was longer, Trace was more explosive. But it took them some time. I mean, again, Paulo's has blocked shots. He's shown he can do that. So he's a big body that can plug the hole, and he understands defensive concepts. So I'm pretty happy about that.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.